Hey everybody, it's Business. Welcome back to an overview of the Myoko Tier 7 Japanese cruiser. This is one of my favorite ships in the game, and it's getting a little bit of a balancing, nerf by most people's standards, but call it what you will, balancing, nerfing, whatever the hell. And this upcoming patch, 4.1, it'll have a reload time will get bumped from 12 seconds to 15, so it'll be 4 rounds a minute, I think, is what it said. But taking a look at some of the details here, the stock hull, you see the big drop off in the torpedoes and the AA guns. When you get the second hull, you get the an extra set of torpedoes each side in the rear, and when you get the third hull, you get a considerably better AA complement. The second hull does have an upgrade, obviously, with the AA guns too, but it's the third hull that'll help you out the most. I don't think I bothered actually putting on the upgrade for the torpedoes for 11,000 XP. I just didn't really think it was worth it in any respect. It was such a side grade that it, such a marginal improvements that it didn't really matter. So the AA, it's okay. I mean, when you start racking up the skill points, and if you're using the AA ability, which I do on these, even though I don't have it outfitted for a defensive role in terms of the maximizing the AA like I would if it was a USN cruiser. I think that having that ability is crucial to being able to stem some sort of tide against your carriers or your battleships, because you're going to likely be around, well, I hope you're going to be around them quite a bit, and sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing a match, is having triggering those bombs or those torpedoes to go on a wider spread. Obviously, I use the accuracy mod, and I use the engine protection mod there. Your steering gears are going to get knocked out a lot with this. I'm just going to throw that out there. And the rudder shift, actually thinking about that now, I might suggest not doing the rudder shift. And this is the only ship that I would consider that, because the turret traverse is 45 seconds, and if you find yourself with this ship and you have the captain skill with the turret traverse upgrade, you're going to be overshooting in a lot of situations. The turrets, like in terms of when you're turning back around, you're going to have to turn back the opposite way to get your turrets on the target, because your ship is turning so much faster than the turrets themselves. And this backwards facing turret in the front here, it's a quirk for sure. It takes some getting used to, but that's why I really think it's really, really good running away from your enemies, and you're able to maximize the speed, and you're able to wiggle out just a little bit and have that turret that's facing backwards in the front be able to throw another shot down in between the reloads of your rear turrets if you do it that way. So you can always be doing some serpentine movement and causing some havoc for any of those behind you. Looking at the captain skill here, I chose the 3-point survivability skill, high alert, because I want all the cooldown I can get on the repair party, because it's a cruiser, it's going to be on fire obviously, but because they are so exposed, the Japanese cruisers are so exposed with their steering gears and whatnot, and just how often they get knocked out, I think it's a really important thing to have that. Vigilance would be a good option, of course. Superintendent, I'm still debating about that, but that's for the tier 9-10 cruisers. I think I may go Vigilance, but pointing out the Sierra Mike flag for the 5% increased speed, that gets this up to 37.2 knots, which is insane. And that further, I think, further amplifies the threat of this ship as a hunter killer, because of how fast it can respond. And saw an Atlanta take a delicious salvo of AP along with that Omaha. Again, it's just a good ship for that. And I mean, if you're going against the way this mops up lower tier or even equal tier cruisers is really awesome. And you cannot underestimate these cannons, because I managed a Citadel on the damn Colorado. Okay, I mean, when does that really happen? As a Japanese cruiser, you don't really tend to Citadel same tier battleships very often. And for whatever reason, the New Mexico, the Colorado, actually I would say more the Colorado tends to be more difficult to Citadel, even as a battleship. But although in my next video you'll see that that's not always the case. But you see that tight grouping there with the shells against the destroyer. They were all pretty much within the length of a ship, and almost the width too. I mean, very, very accurate. So Kamikaze had died to this Nagato over here. The rest of the team had gone around the other side. We had gone the way that they had come, where we basically were completely outmatched. We had him and his Pensacola that was stock, and he was Citadel through the rear. Actually, he was taken out by the Nagato from 16 kilometers away when he was running away. Poor fragile little ship, but it is capable, and I'll prove that to you in another video very soon. But managed to reset the cap, and the Fuso that was chasing us along with an enemy Myoko are also in the cap, and I'm just trying to reset to secure the win. And I'm just heading backwards because I don't feel like I'm in much of a situation where I have to worry about my safety or anything, because they don't have the turrets facing me. Although now I start to reconsider that, because the Fuso is beginning to turn, but I don't think he's able to see me, actually. But this was one of those things that if I wasn't in this ship and I wasn't able to hit a speed the way I was, then I wouldn't have survived, because I probably wouldn't have made it into the channel in the first place, because they were only about 10 to 12 kilometers away. Being able to get on the enemy cap around the same time they got on ours was a big benefit. And this is a tier 7 ship. I just want to say, get used to Two Brothers. It's an odd map. I kind of like it, and in some respects I really, really, really don't. I think all these mountains are just a little too high for the most part, but I understand that it's there so people don't sit in the back like they do anyways and shoot at 20 kilometer ranges plus. But I don't know, I'm really looking forward to patch 4.1 with the 2 new maps. That should be a nice change, because also whenever they introduce a new map, you get tired of it incredibly fast, because of the fact that it's the only thing you play for weeks. Like, that's all the only thing you're gonna get matched into is, oh look, it's hotspot 14 times in a row. That is so great. And of course that happened with Two Brothers as well, but this is more of a mid-tier type of map, and mid-upper tier. Still see some higher tier ships in this. But anyways, just to go over a few things here. As you've seen in the previous video, the ship, if you're not always turning and running away when you're outmatched, chances are you're just gonna die real fast anyways. You got to play this ship to its strengths, and again, it's that incredible forward speed and the ability to keep bobbing and weaving, and out of all the things that wargaming is sort of balancing on the ship, I'm really surprised it's not the maneuverability, because to me that's more of the thing that completely makes this outclass anything else at this tier. Is just the quality of the feel of the ship. And as I've said before, if you like the feel of the faster ships and carving through the water at high speed, then you're gonna really enjoy playing this ship. It just feels good to play. The Mogami actually is pretty similar to a bit slower, but still very, very quick in its own right. And actually, now that the Zhao has been buffed too, with I think it can reach 34 knots, I'm really excited to play that again. So, but that apparently is going to be like 6 months down the line when I actually earn the damn experience to be able to get that. And let's see. Again, positioning. We left our whole center part of the map open here, so obviously a destroyer is the one that's gonna take the chance and run up the gut, try to get our carrier. Kami's very well aware of this. He's trying to scout for the destroyer with his planes. As you can see, we know he's around here somewhere, but there he is. And trying to get all my turrets on target. So not bad. Was hoping to get him in one salvo, but that's when you see the torp planes come in and booyah. So nothing like carriers protecting themselves against destroyers in that respect. So he didn't really he waited to maneuver at the very last second. So unfortunately for that destroyer, he didn't get much further. Although I'm sure I'll get corrected by Kami and say there was nothing unfortunate about that at all. Now, I do think that the Myoko embodies the design philosophy of the Japanese cruisers more than any of the other ships. It doesn't have to be tier 10, whatever the hell, to be the defining ship. I really think this is the one that if you like the Japanese cruisers, then you'll love this. If you don't like it, then you're probably going to switch right back over to the USN line, because that's probably more your style of play. I think tier 7 has a very considerable bottleneck. If you don't like the playstyle, you'll find out at tier 7, and that's it. By that I mean the Cleveland at tier 6 is nothing like the Pensacola, the New Orleans, or the Baltimore. It has nothing in common with them whatsoever. I mean, the only ship that's like the Cleveland is the Des Moines, and I think the Des Moines is the easiest damn ship to play in the game. I mean, there's nothing to it whatsoever, and I do think that it has. I just say that because the Des Moines has an incredibly low skill floor. It does have a high skill ceiling. The way that can work in the group or with other ships in conjunction with them is astounding. That is such an incredible ship when you give it to a good player. But if you give it to an average or below average player, it's still a good ship. So you gave somebody a Myoko, you're going to have a considerably lower percentage of people be able to do well with it. And that's because of, the fact that it has all of the things the Japanese cruisers are about. I mean, it doesn't have much armor. It has mediocre AA. It has some funky designs to to the ship as far as the turrets are concerned. It relies on 203s and accuracy instead of volume of firepower. That does change with the 155s on the Mogami, but that's the only high tier ship like that for the Japanese. I mean, actually starting with the Furitaka, it's the Mogami with 155s is the only ship like that from tier 5 up. I mean, it's an anomaly instead of the rule. I do think that the USN cruisers are actually much more punchy than people realize, and that they can have some really good qualities about them in terms of their guns. there are worthwhile reasons to play the Pensacola, the New Orleans, and the Baltimore. It's not just about the Des Moines. I actually, in my testing in the training room, I found that the Baltimore, for instance, has the best armor out of any cruiser in the game, and it's like the Cleveland, where it has a really small hitbox for the Citadel, but it just has more armor. And granted, the ships you're facing at that tier are going to have higher penetration anyway, so it kind of gets averaged out. But if you're taking, say, a tier 7 cruiser against the Baltimore, you're going to have a hell of a hard time trying to penetrate that armor. It's actually pretty damn good. But, or at least in my experience, I should say. Everybody will vary on that. But Kami, you see, drop some bombs on that poor little Nicholas. We tend to do that a lot. Prioritize the destroyers ASAP and get them down as soon as we can. Nothing's worse than letting one of those slip through and finding out that he takes out 2-3 of your teammates or caps your base. So the sooner you can get the destroyers down, the better. You want to not play the concealment game. Nothing is more frustrating in this game than trying to find a damn destroyer in the smoke on the cap as you're still outside of the cap and he's about to cap it and everything. Oh god, it's just so annoying. Definitely lost a few games that way, but you can say it was my fault for positioning, but it just all depends on the scenario. So they have 2 independence carriers, and find one of them, and he's kind enough not to really be moving all that much. So happily oblige and start sending some shots his way. Try to just get him on fire and let Kami own the skies a little bit. You can see over the last few minutes what I was saying in the chat. It goes back to the whole positioning thing. Of course, I don't know what's happening over there on the one line on the other side of the map. With 7 minutes left, you shouldn't be in that spot, period. There's just nothing to do there. And I'm closer to the cap than they are, and I'm also engaging their carriers, which is certainly a high priority target. If anything, and the thing is, I don't know if there's an enemy in J1 or if there was one, but they should be cutting across diagonally right now to and avoid like the bottom 4 squares there, and to be able to respond to a change, to think ahead. And if everybody needs to jump on the cap because ours is getting cap all of a sudden because the whole middle of the map is open, then be in that position to be able to respond, and that is exactly something that the Myoko and cruisers in general are able to do very effectively. Again, I don't know why I didn't activate my AA ability here, so you're not really seeing the full capabilities of this battleship. Now, the ability of the AA, and I think this game took place with the second hull. I'm not entirely sure, since there's very little difference visually between the first, second, third hulls or whatever. There's just not much you can deduce from watching a video of it, but I do tend to average a decent amount of plane shot down. I also put myself in harm's way. I try to screen aircraft as it comes in, so that should probably help whatever my average plane's shot down is. I really don't shy away from using cruisers that way. I'm pretty damn aggressive, actually, so much to the chagrin of my teammates as I as I die earlier or something, of course. But if it gives somebody a chance to do what they can really do and get damage out there, then that's great. But we're starting to mop up here a little bit and get some kills on the straggler planes that are just left over. I wanted to mention that I would still highly recommend, even though that the Myoko is getting that balance done to it. I think it's still going to be a hell of a ship, and probably more in line of where it should be. I don't necessarily think this is a bad balance that they're going to do. It's just going to be noticeable in the overall offensive capabilities of the ship. So you'll still be able to run away really well and use those turrets just fine when you're in that position and shooting behind you. You're just going to have the opportunities to react. They're not going to be as plentiful. So I think this is I would say one of my top 5 ships in the game. I just really enjoy playing it, and when you get to this, or if you already have it, I hope you enjoy it as well. But that wraps it up for this video. Hope you enjoyed, and let's see, the next video will be an Amagi, and that'll be a replay, not an overview. Wait till you see that one. But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you here next time.